Hello, e-patient Dave. This is Thibaut Guimard from Creation Healthcare. I would like to ask you a few questions about patient engagement. Can you tell me what means patient engagement to you?
Patient engagement is about patients being actively involved in healthcare as opposed to just being passive. You know, a passive patient is like a car in a car wash. It just goes along and things are done to the car or the patient. But an engaged patient works to understand what the doctor or nurse is saying and takes an active role in being responsible for their care. They may go out and research things and bring information to the doctor's attention, talk to other patients, and so on.
Okay, great. And there is patients are more and more active on the internet, and there are more and more there's more and more people using the internet for health research and increasing their knowledge on their health issues or just on general topics about health. But so what do you think is the next step of engagement for patients? Because today for the moment it's more about information, but what do you think that can change in the coming years according to all these trends we have seen at the ePharma summit?
So I think the current reality is that a lot of patients are using the internet and talking to each other separate from their doctors. They don't discuss it with their doctors. A lot of doctors don't want to hear about it. I talked to a woman yesterday who said that her entire hospital care plan told her to stay off the internet. She would just get confused and scared. And it turns out actually the people she was talking with had a better diagnosis than what the doctors had come up with. So the future of it is to change the culture of patients and the culture of doctors and nurses to understand that it's reasonable and useful for patients to go finding information. This is what we're calling participatory medicine, where the patients participate actively in a partnership with their physicians. Aside from researching information, there is the issue of patients taking a more active role in their health. My own personal experience is that as I came to understand participatory medicine, I started exercising more than I ever had before. Now, I'm no perfect specimen, but I think we'll see that people will wake up and realize that they need to be, and they can be, responsible for how healthy they are.
Okay, so how do you imagine this new relationship, between doctors, patients, and maybe patients and other stakeholders like the pharmaceutical companies? How do you imagine that? What's your vision about that?
My vision is, let's see, how do I put this? Let me put it this way. There's a word that I think carries the whole story. The word is compliance, or adherence to medication schedules.
Yes.
That is sort of the car wash approach to a patient taking a medication. You're told to do something, and either you do it or you don't. If you don't, you're not adherent, and so on. I like to think of it in terms of a shared goal, like my health. And either I'm achieving the plan or I'm not. So I wish people would start calling it achievement rather than adherence or compliance. What pharma can do, I can't address the regulatory issues because that's just a crazy world to me. I don't understand how anybody can function in that world. But disregarding that, pharma can provide information, and I don't mean the boxed warnings and all that stuff, but information and software tools and websites to help somebody not just use the product, but get better at their health.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And what are for you the most relevant ways to engage patients? So what do you think that can really work?
Oh, there are so many ways. I mean, I really don't know how to pick any particular one.
Yeah.
I do know that the biggest shift in mindset is to change from thinking of patients, as I said, who are somebody that you do something to, you throw something at, to somebody that you actually talk with and ask, how's it going? A good example in the case of my own disease, kidney cancer, is that the range of treatment options, there's nothing that resembles a cure. Chemo doesn't work for kidney cancer. I mean, high-dose interleukin in 30% of cases does work, and in about half of those cases, it seems to be a complete response. But that means for 85% of patients, the only thing that looks like a cure doesn't do the job. So it's a question of trade-offs on side effects and quality of life and so on. And what I've seen is that sometimes in studies, the quality of life, the patient's quality of life will be judged by the doctor instead of by asking the patient, how's it going? So if pharma and the providers think of the patient as their partner, and they say, how's it going? That's a culture shift that will lead on to everything else.
And do you think that technology can help for that?
Oh, technology can certainly help.
Yeah.
Because, so without technology, all of that communication about how's it going is in face-to-face conversations like this, or over the phone or whatever. It's very time-consuming and it's not scalable.
Costly,
So if you can have a patient community where people can comment on treatment options and, I like this, I didn't like this, and people could, use a Dig style or Amazon style thumbs up, thumbs down rating system. You can aggregate lots of consumer viewpoint at very low cost. So online is the only way to do that.
Okay. I have a last question for you. Just if you could tell me what's for you the difference between patient engagement and patient empowerment.
Patient empowerment and patient engagement, that's a great question. So to me, empowerment has several parts. First of all, there's awakening. Empowerment always involves awakening. Somebody awakening to the idea that they're allowed to have a thought that might be worthwhile instead of somebody telling them something. This happened in the civil rights movement in the U.S., it happened in the women's movement, it's happening in the patient movement. Like, if you don't like what the doctor did, or if you don't like the way the treatment is going, you're allowed to have that feeling and you're allowed to speak up about it. And then, beyond that, there's a second layer of it, which has to do with giving somebody the skills to do something about it. Because if I want to speak up, if I say I don't like something, but I don't have the knowledge of how to go find an alternative or how to get out of one hospital and into another one, then I'm still pretty much disempowered. Patient engagement is a separate subject. It's whether I'm actively involved in conversations with my providers. I would say that you can't be an engaged patient if you're not empowered.
Okay.
Right, but empowerment has many other aspects besides engagement.
Okay, so they are quite related, but in the same time they are quite different.
They're different subjects. One is the issue of will somebody speak up and take action in general, and the other is about being in a partnership, this participatory medicine.
Okay, thank you very much.
Very good, thank you.